Ever find yourself constantly drained, battling, a persistent cloud of anxiety or maybe a low mood that just won't lift, even when you feel like you've tried everything? It's a really common struggle, actually. And here's something interesting. These challenges, they're often far more connected than we realize. So today, we're diving deep into this whole interconnected world of chronic fatigue, stress-related issues like adrenal fatigue, anxiety, and depression. We'll be pulling practical insights and some, well, truly eye-opening facts from a pretty comprehensive self-care guide focused on natural remedies. Our mission is to really show you how holistic approaches can offer a powerful pathway to feeling more balanced, more energetic, and, genuinely well. Okay, so let's start by getting a handle on what these conditions actually are, because they often overlap in some fascinating ways. First up, there's what our source calls adrenal fatigue. Can you unpack that a bit?
Sure. So picture your adrenal glands, right? These tiny little glands on top of your kidneys. They're your stress managers. And when they get overworked, maybe from constant immune system battle, severe trauma, or even just long-term poor nutrition, they can start to struggle.
Okay, so what does that feel like then?
Well, the guide describes it as, profound fatigue, like really deep exhaustion. Lightheadedness when you stand up is common too. Low blood pressure, mood swings, often leaning towards irritability. You might also notice poor concentration, maybe getting sick more often,
Hmm.
or even those weird cravings for salt or sugar. It's basically your body's stress system running on empty.
Right.
And clinically, our source suggests that actually most people dealing with chronic fatigue or ongoing illness probably have some degree of this adrenal fatigue. And tackling it holistically, that can be a real key to recovery.
Interesting. Okay, and then there's chronic fatigue syndrome or CFS. How does that differ? It sounds, well, intense.
It is. CFS often feels like a much deeper, more pervasive kind of exhaustion. We're talking fatigue so profound it might affect your vision, your balance, even coordination. The source lists a whole range of symptoms. Deep fatigue, naturally, but also blurred vision, maybe difficulty speaking, numbness in limbs, even digestive issues like nausea or constipation.
Wow.
Yeah, it really hits your entire system.
So what's driving something that debilitating? What are the root causes our guide points to?
It seems to be a mix of things. Chronic infections are a big one. Think persistent viruses, bacteria, or fungal issues like candida. Also, long periods of really extreme stress, imbalances in those critical stress hormones, and definitely nutritional gaps, particularly vitamin D deficiency. That comes up a lot. Environmental toxins, heavy metals, even hidden food allergies can play a role too. They all sort of contribute to cellular damage and overloading your immune system.
Okay, so there's a lot going on under the surface for both of those. But here's where it gets really interesting for me. You mentioned stress hormones and immune function for both adrenal fatigue and CFS. And when we think about anxiety and depression, well, things like poor concentration, mood swings, sleep problems, they're central symptoms there too. So how deeply are these things actually intertwined? What's the core connection our guide is highlighting here?
That's really the key question, isn't it? And it's fascinating. What our source really emphasizes is that many of these conditions, whether it's the physical exhaustion of fatigue or the emotional weight of anxiety and depression, they're not just all in your head.
Right.
They
Yeah.
show up with real physical symptoms, fatigue, headaches, digestive problems, you name it. And the surprising link, it often comes down to shared underlying physiological imbalances.
Imbalances, like what
Yeah.
specifically?
Think of it like your body having a limited energy budget, right? When you're constantly fighting off infections, dealing with chronic stress, or maybe not getting the nutrients you need, that budget just gets drained. This affects everything, your nervous system, your hormones, even your brain chemistry.
Oh,
So the fatigue you feel, the anxiety keeping you up at night, that low mood that just hangs around, they can all be connected through these fundamental imbalances. They're often just different ways your body is crying out for balance.
that really drives home the point that we're talking about a whole body system, not just isolated symptoms. So, okay, now that we understand what these feel like and how they might be linked, the big question is, what can we actually do? Our deep dive points to a really powerful starting point. What's on your plate?
Absolutely.
Our sources stress that what you meet isn't just fuel, it's potent medicine, especially when you're battling fatigue and these mood challenges. So, for supporting your adrenals and fighting CFS, what's the guidance?
The guidance is pretty clear. Think smaller, more frequent meals throughout the day. And focus on whole foods.
Why frequent meals?
It's all about keeping your blood sugar stable. Those big spikes and crashes, they put a huge strain on your adrenal glands. And that's also why getting enough protein, especially with breakfast, is so important. It helps avoid that blood sugar roller coaster.
Makes sense.
The guide also strongly recommends pH balancing fruits and vegetables. Think of them as helping to alkalize your system, which supports overall health. Potassium-rich foods get a special mention, things like apples, avocados, coconut milk, coconut water.
Okay.
And for adrenal function specifically, don't be afraid of high-quality sea salt or Celtic salt. Just, keep the total sodium under 2,000 milligrams a day. Oh, and good fats. Olive oil, coconut oil, really crucial for cellular health. For CFS, the focus is on what they call a high-density nutrition diet.
High-density nutrition.
Yeah, basically packing as many nutrients as possible into every bite, really supporting your liver, adrenals, and thyroid function.
Got it. And how does this shift when we're talking specifically about nurturing mood and easing anxiety through diet? Are the principles similar?
They are powerfully connected, yes. For depression, the suggestion is to base your meals around complex carbohydrates. Think whole grains, vegetables, legumes.
Why complex carbs specifically?
Because they're high in the precursors your body needs to make serotonin, the feel-good brain chemical.
Right, serotonin.
And just as important as what you add is what you take away.
Ah, the elimination part. Always tricky.
It can be, but the consistent message for both depression and anxiety is dramatically cut back on hydrogenated and saturated fats, and definitely eliminate caffeine, refined sugar, and alcohol.
Why those three? They're pretty common staples for a lot of people.
Well, think of caffeine and sugar as giving you that temporary jolt, right? But it's always followed by a crash. It strains your system and actually depletes vital nutrients over time. And alcohol, well, it's a known depressant. Simple as that.
Okay. What about for anxiety specifically? Any particular food heroes?
Yes, for anxiety, the guide really highlights calcium and magnesium-rich foods. These minerals are like natural nerve relaxers. So we're talking sea vegetables, leafy greens, though they mention maybe going easy on spinach because of oxalates, soybeans, nuts, molasses, also things like bone-in salmon or sardines, and unsweetened cultured yogurt. These foods really help stabilize your nervous system.
And across the board for energy, mood, everything.
Wood.
Water, right.
Absolutely non-negotiable. Drink plenty of clean, quality water every single day. It's fundamental for detoxification and helping literally every system in your body work better.
Okay, so diet is foundational. But what about more targeted support? Supplements, herbs? Our sources get into some specifics here, right? Many backed by research.
They definitely do. For stress and adrenal support, a couple of powerful adaptogens really stand out. These are herbs that help your body, adapt to stress.
Adaptogens, okay, like what?
Rhodiola rosea is one. Our source points to studies showing it significantly reduces stress markers and improves concentration and fatigue. It's like a resilience booster. Then there's ashwagandha. It's sometimes called Indian ginseng. This one's fantastic for balancing stress hormones, reducing tension, fatigue, anxiety. There was one double-blind, placebo-controlled trial mentioned that found a really striking 79% reduction in fatigue.
79%.
Yeah, alongside decreased cortisol, that's your main stress hormone, and actually an increase in DHEA, which is often linked to vitality.
That is significant. What else for adrenal support?
The guide also mentions licorice root. It can help maintain cortisol levels and give you an energy boost. But there's a really important caution here.
Okay.
High doses can potentially increase blood pressure, so it's definitely something best used under a doctor's supervision.
Good to know. And the basics, vitamins.
Don't underestimate the basics. Vitamin C is absolutely vital for adrenal function, helps combat stress. And pantothenic acid, which is vitamin B5, is essential for normal adrenal gland function and fighting fatigue. Think of them as fuel for your adrenals.
Right. And for that deep fatigue, like in CFS, what helps boost energy directly?
Okay, for energy enhancement, especially with CFS, a few key players are highlighted. Coenzyme Q10 or CoQ10.
CoQ10, yeah, I've heard of that one.
It's critical for cellular energy production, like the spark plug in your cells. The source mentions a 2-year study where CoQ10 significantly improved heart function and vitality. Then there's D-ribose. It's a type of simple sugar, but it forms the backbone of ATP, your body's energy currency.
ATP, right.
A pilot study showed really impressive improvements in energy, sleep, mental clarity, even pain levels for folks with fibromyalgia and or chronic fatigue syndrome using D-ribose.
Interesting. What else?
L-carnitine comes up too for supporting brain function and energy. Magnesium is absolutely fundamental. It's involved in hundreds of reactions, including energy production and muscle function. And we can't forget essential fatty acids, like those in flaxseed and fish oil. They help reduce inflammation and support overall cell health, which is so important when your body's under stress.
Okay, that's a great list for energy.
Yeah.
Now let's pivot to mood and calming the nervous system. Our sources seem to have a pretty powerful lineup here too. They do.
Same. Or S-adenosylmethionine. That one really jumped out at me. The guide mentions studies showing it can be comparable, maybe even more effective than some antidepressants. That's quite a claim.
It is a strong claim, and the source does back it up with research, like a study from UC Irvine, where SAMe showed significant improvement for a high percentage of participants. It seems particularly helpful for brain chemistry and even for pain and fatigue in conditions like fibromyalgia.
So what are the nuances then? How should people approach something like SAMe?
Well, the key nuance is always personalized care. Just because it's natural doesn't mean it's automatically right for everyone or without interactions, especially when dealing with complex issues like depression or anxiety. And definitely if you're already on medication, working closely with a qualified healthcare practitioner is absolutely essential.
Right. They need to guide the process.
Exactly. They can help determine if SAM is appropriate, the right dose, and how it fits with any other treatments. That professional guidance is non-negotiable. Such an important point. Okay, so besides SIME, what other natural powerhouses are highlighted for mood and anxiety?
Well, there's 5-hydroxytryptophan, or 5-HTP. It's a direct precursor to serotonin, so it can help with sleep, mood, even pain reduction. But again, a very important caution our source stresses: do not use 5-HTP if you're taking pharmaceutical antidepressants. The risk of serotonin syndrome is real.
Okay, noted. Very important.
Similarly, L-tryptophan is another serotonin precursor used for depression and sleep. But in many places, this actually requires a doctor's prescription now.
Right. And for anxiety specifically.
L-theanine is a good one. It's an amino acid found in green tea. It has this wonderful calming effect, but doesn't usually cause drowsiness. So great for anxiety during the day and can help with deeper sleep too. And then there's inositol. It's a type of sugar alcohol. One double-blind controlled study showed it significantly reduced panic attacks. The source mentions it brought attacks down from maybe 6 or 7 a week to just 2 or 3.
Wow, that's a dramatic change. Any other key botanicals for anxiety?
Yes, kava, which is Piper methysticum, can be quite effective for panic attacks and generalized anxiety. However, and this is critical, it comes with very strong warnings in our source material.
Okay, like what?
Never combine it with pharmaceutical tranquilizers or alcohol. And absolutely avoid it if you have any signs of elevated liver enzymes. It really must be used under a doctor's supervision due to potential liver toxicity concerns.
Understood. Strong cautions there. What about more traditional calming herbs?
The source also highlights well-known herbal nervines: passion flower, valerian, chamomile, oat straw. These are proven nerve relaxers. Valerian, in particular, is noted as being very helpful for insomnia that's driven by anxiety.
And I saw St. John's wort mentioned too.
Yes, Hypericum perforatum. It can be helpful for lifting anxiety when it's accompanied by depression. But again, that's standard, crucial advice. Talk to your doctor before switching from or combining it with any medication, because interactions can definitely happen.
It really sounds like there's so many potential tools in the natural pharmacy, but using them wisely, often with guidance, is key. And thinking bigger picture about brain health and stress resilience, our guide points back to vitamins too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The B vitamins are like the unsung heroes. They help your body cope with the physical effects of stress and are crucial for balancing brain chemicals. Vitamin B6 gets a special mention for neurotransmitter production. And there's something interesting about a common genetic variation, the MTHFR gene mutation.
MTHFR, right. How does that play in?
Well, it can affect how your body processes certain B vitamins, like folate, and this can directly impact mood. Our source highlights that methylfolate, which is a specific active form of folate, B9, can be really beneficial for depression in people with this genetic difference.
Fascinating. And vitamin D.
Yes, vitamin D. More and more studies are showing it helps improve mood, so it's especially important to consider if you're not getting much regular sun exposure.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about what you put into your body, food, supplements, herbs, but our sources are clear that's not the whole story, right?
Not at all.
How you live and manage daily stress seems just as profound.
This is where the holistic approach really comes together. For stress reduction, practices like meditation and prayer are emphasized, not just for feeling calmer, but for actual benefits like improved mental clarity and memory.
And exercise.
Regular exercise is framed as absolutely crucial. It's not just about fitness, it's about reducing stress hormones, improving circulation, boosting your immune function. The key, especially if fatigue is a major issue, is to choose low or no impact activities. Things like walking, swimming, cycling. Avoid those joint pounding workouts that can actually add more stress to your system.
Right, gentle movement. And sometimes the simplest things,
Yeah.
like breathing.
You got it. Deep breathing. It's been shown to directly lower blood pressure. A source even mentions a device called Respirate. It's like a little computerized guide for slower breathing that showed significant blood pressure reduction in studies.
Yeah.
It really demonstrates the direct physiological impact of just consciously slowing down your breath.
That's powerful. What about ongoing stress or conditions like IBS where stress is a huge factor?
For those situations, working with a counselor for specific stress reduction techniques is highly recommended. And for severe anxiety, the guide even suggests looking into EEG biofeedback, which basically teaches you to regulate your own brainwave activity.
Interesting. And body work, hydrotherapy.
Yes, those can be incredibly helpful. Gentle all-over massage for pain relief and stress reduction. Lymphatic drainage massage is mentioned as great for detoxification. And hydrotherapy, think about how soothing hot water is for tight muscles, especially in conditions like fibromyalgia. Our guide also details something called constitutional hydrotherapy. This involves alternating hot and cold applications.
Hot and cold, how does that help?
Think of it as giving your circulatory system a workout through temperature changes. It invigorates circulation, boosts energy, helps combat stress. Even simple warm compresses can provide good localized relief for aches and pains.
Okay, great practical tips. And then there are more specialized therapies mentioned, things that work on subtle energies or structural alignment.
Indeed, acupuncture, for instance. It's described as directly influencing the electrical balance of the nervous system and the heart, really useful for balancing various body systems. Spinal manipulation, like chiropractic care, can also play a role by improving nerve signaling and helping normalize the body's rhythms.
And homeopathy, that's quite different again.
Very different. Homeopathy takes a truly individualized approach. The source really emphasizes this. Remedies are chosen based on your specific, unique pattern of symptoms. It's not one size fits all. So, for example, aconitum napellus might be considered for sudden, acute panic, while arsenicum album could fit anxiety with restlessness and insecurity. It's very nuanced.
So it definitely requires a professional.
Absolutely. Always consult a qualified homeopathic practitioner. And one more thing mentioned, particularly for severe adrenal fatigue and CFS,
Yes.
nutritional IV therapy, using high doses of B vitamins, minerals, vitamin C intravenously. This can be, quote, extremely helpful for quickly boosting nutrient levels and supporting deeper healing when oral intake isn't enough or digestion is compromised.
Okay. Expert, we've covered so much ground here. Diet, supplements, herbs, lifestyle changes, specialized therapies.
Yeah.
If we try to connect all these dots, what's the big picture takeaway for our listener?
I think the biggest takeaway, if we connect it all, is seeing this recurring, powerful theme. So many of these conditions that seem separate, chronic fatigue, anxiety, low mood, even adrenal issues, they often share common underlying imbalances.
Right, those imbalances you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. Things like nutrient deficiencies, maybe subtle hormone issues, impaired detoxification pathways, and definitely chronic unmanaged stress. These aren't just isolated problems. They're often interconnected threads contributing to a whole range of symptoms. And what that points to, really strongly, is the importance of a systemic, holistic approach. Not just chasing individual symptoms, but looking at the whole picture.
And seeking help to navigate that picture.
Definitely. Our source material consistently emphasizes consulting qualified practitioners, holistic doctors, naturopaths, homeopaths, acupuncturists, people who can help create a personalized plan, especially if you're dealing with complex conditions, severe symptoms, or if you're on any pharmaceutical medications where interactions are a concern. Professional guidance isn't just a good idea. It's really essential for using these powerful natural tools safely and effectively.
What a journey we've been on today, really unpacking these profound connections between our energy, our stress response, our emotional well-being. It seems so clear that while the symptoms might look diverse on the surface, The pathways to healing often converge on these foundational holistic principles that support your entire system.
And knowledge is really most valuable when you understand it and can apply it right. We've seen how dietary shifts, targeted natural remedies, mind-body practices, these aren't just alternative fluff. They're often robust, research-supported strategies for reclaiming vitality and getting to the root causes.
So maybe consider this. How could even subtle shifts in your daily habits, guided by some of these natural principles we've talked about, unlock a kind of resilience you maybe never knew you had? What small change could you start with today to really begin nurturing your body's amazing innate ability to heal and thrive?